You have filed an open records request because you want to know exactly what the communications have been, right, between the state and between this mining company. Explain your open records request.
Well, that's right, Doug. I believe that the public has a right to know when there is corporate influence on legislation. And it really is of great concern to me if the mining company had a significant hand in drafting this legislation. And I just want to be able to stand up for the citizens' right to know how legislation gets crafted, particularly when it comes to corporate money.
And this open records request that you filed, is it for all communications that the state has had with this mining company, or is it more specific than that? Or
yes, it focuses on any Walker administration, so him or his staff, communications that they've had with representatives, lobbyists, executives of the mining company, or about the project of the mine.
From your seat there in the state assembly, how has this unfolded with this mining bill? I think it's something like 185 pages long. The Republican Party now wants to fast track it and get rid of some of the regulations and make it easier for the mine to get approval. But there are serious environmental concerns, right? I mean, just describe for us what it's been like from your seat in the assembly watching this mine proposal unfold in the state capitol.
Well, it's very difficult. Let's step back and understand that Wisconsin actually has mining regulations that have been carefully thought out, and they've been working. They balance the ability of industry to come in and apply for permits, but they say if you're going to do that and you want to mine, you have to demonstrate that you're going to be able to take responsibility for any kind of environmental damage you cause to the land, to the air, polluting our water. And I think that strikes the right balance. Now we have apparently a company that is hell-bent on changing that, not going through the regular permitting process, which they could do today without any change of law, but instead working behind the scenes to craft legislation in secret and then fast-track it since they see this political opportunity to basically take away hurdles. Now, we don't know. We can't say yet what this legislation is going to do and what the true impact is going to be. As you mentioned, it's 180-some pages, and I'm an attorney, and I'm still working my way through the details of the bill, and it's very complex regulatory issues, and we need full time to understand the impact of this bill.
Yeah, and we need full transparency to understand just exactly what the government's role here has been with this mining company in these efforts to get this mine not only approved but quickly approved, and they want to drop some of these regulatory hurdles along the way. When in fact, a regulatory hurdle in one person's mind might be an environmental protection in another person's mind.
Well, and the big issue here, really, in terms of the open records request, is again the public's right to know. In a democracy, we are supposed to have open, transparent government, where citizens can watch what's happening and have a say and a voice in it. And that's why whether you're talking about this mining legislation, whether you're talking about, throwing 65,000 people off of health care, whether you're talking about taking away people's rights, the public has a right to know and to be heard.
My guest is State Representative Kelda Helen Royce, and you're listening to The People's Mic with Doug Cunningham. We're talking about the mine project, the proposed mine up north. And, one of the things that just broke that I heard about just a couple of days ago, I was out of state for the weekend, and I got back and found out that there are some folks that are allegedly trying to recall State Senator Bob Jauch, one of the Fab 14 who stood up for collective bargaining. And the reason that these folks cite, and I apologize, I don't have their names in front of me, the folks who are actually trying to do the recall, but they say the mining issue is the reason that they're trying to do this. Now, I have no idea whether there's any real power behind this or whatever, but I mean, the whole idea that they could try to jump in on this recall action against a senator he hasn't even stated what his public position is for or against the mine. He's just talking about procedure and making sure we do it carefully and make sure we have, protections. This tells me that this issue is supercharged up there.
Well, I think it is supercharged, and that's understandable. We're in a political climate where we've seen the Walker administration and his legislative allies move at breakneck speed to destroy Wisconsin's progressive heritage, take away people's rights, Whether you're talking about workers or women or students or a whole host of issues. And so people are concerned, and people want to make sure that there are some checks and balances in place. And, I've tried to always stand up and be a leader when I see abuses of power by the Walker administration, whether it's shutting down the Capitol or taking people out of the Assembly Gallery, just for holding up a picture of apple pie or,
yeah, right. Or having the audacity to carry a copy of the Bill of Rights and a placard in or something.
Right, or singing in our Capitol Rotunda. Right. I mean, I'm an open government person. I think that there are a lot of politicians that think, hey, I'm entitled to be here, and, I don't have to respond to the citizens that elected me. And I think that's wrong. I think we have an obligation to be open in our activities in government and to be proactive in reaching out to the public. And I think that this administration has failed to do that, and I want to make sure that he knows that we're paying attention.
And obviously, Wisconsin needs jobs, and if this mine were to come into being, it would ostensibly create some good-paying jobs. But if it comes into being by ignoring the environmental regulations, if it comes into being on a fast track before anybody fully understands the impact on the state of Wisconsin, that is not a good thing, even if the jobs are there, right? I mean, it's something that's one of the most pristine areas in our state. And it has implications as well for drinking water and all sorts of things. So, I mean, what would you like to see happen with this particular mine proposal? Obviously you don't want to see it fast-tracked. You just want to see a careful review of this?
Doug, I'm so glad that you asked that question, because I reject this notion, this false choice that somehow we have to choose between jobs and progress in our economy and protecting our treasured natural resources. In fact, I think that one of the best ways that we can work to have a strong economy that works for everybody is by promoting our natural resources. Tourism is a huge, huge source of revenue for our state, and it's one that has been around for a long time and hopefully will be around for hundreds of years to come. But not if we don't take care to conserve those natural resources. I think, for instance, in the last session, we had the opportunity to pass the Clean Energy Jobs Act, which would have created thousands of jobs potentially in all kinds of areas of sustainable energy production, manufacturing, high-tech manufacturing, and would have been win-win-wins for workers of the state, for the economy, and for the environment. Yeah. I think those are the kind of solutions we need to be looking for, not looking for the quick buck, and trying to move backward just because the governor realizes that he's lost jobs rather than added them under his tenure.
Yeah, I don't care how good my job is. If I can't breathe or I've been poisoned by the water, I'm not going to make it into work, and none of us are going to make it into work, if we destroy our state, destroy our environment, destroy our planet. So clearly that has to be first and foremost. Do you think the Walker administration will quickly honor this open records request, or do you expect a big delay in getting that information?
Well, Doug, I'm always hopeful that our elected officials will honor the open records law. Certainly I tried to make my request very simple so that they could just filter. It's just like your email. You just filter who you sent it to or what keywords are there. So I'm hopeful that we'll hear something back from them shortly. And certainly my hope is that we'll get something back before they try to fast-track this legislation and move it forward in the Assembly.
And is there anything that you would urge our listeners to do in regards to this mine? I mean, is there any way that they can express themselves or support one way or the other how this is done here in Wisconsin?
Well, yeah. I mean, before we really have great analyses on exactly what this bill is going to do, I would urge people to go to my website. I actually have a petition up to say no to these kind of backroom deals and stand up to corporations drafting legislation in secret. So people can go to my website, which is www.kelda, Kelda, for Congress.com. Kelda is like Zelda with a K, for Congress.com, and sign the petition if you want to stand up to backroom deals and say no to this, not just this mining bill, but a whole corrupt process.
All right. Thanks for being with us. We appreciate you being on our show.